shores of one of the world's deepest natural ice-free harbors, Halifax is a port city. It's a city whose entire history has been tied to the water. A sacred land and important settling point for the Mi'kmaq people, served as a major historical military station, and the gateway to Atlantic Canada. But this great harbor isn't done contributing to the history books. Today, the Halifax Harbour is a major shipping port, tourism destination, naval base, and shipbuilding facility that drives the social and economic life of the city. Managing several marine facilities that cover 265 acres of land, the Halifax Port Authority is one of the harbor's largest administrators. The port contributes to a workforce of almost 15,000 positions, brings in over 1,500 ships every year, and creates $1.97 billion in economic impact for the province of Nova Scotia. In 2017, the Port of Halifax received its first ultra-class cargo vessel. These giant ships measure over 350 meters in overall length and can carry over 10,000 TEU, or 20-foot equivalent units of containerized cargo.
The arrival of these new shipping giants was a major win for Atlantic Canada. On the global scale, the Port of Halifax is still relatively small. Located away from major population centers, shipping companies don't have to include the port on their routes. The entire port community has to work hard and work smart to make the conditions for growth in this highly competitive industry.
The Port of Halifax is appealing to companies for a number of reasons, but what really makes the Port of Halifax so enticing is our efficiency. In bigger, more congested ports, ships can spend days waiting to unload, and cargo can sit on the docks for up to a week before it starts to move to its destination. Every minute goods are not moving is costing someone money, and that's where the Port of Halifax has an advantage. From the moment a vessel pulls into the Halifax Harbour, the dedicated workforce is in constant motion to get that ship docked, unloaded, and the goods moved off the terminal. The results are tracked in real time and are posted online to the Port Operations Center for everyone to see. With a skilled and well-trained workforce and the use of large, modern superpost Panamax cranes, the South End Container Terminal can turn these giant container ships around quickly.
When combined with CN Rail's ramp-to-ramp delivery time, this container could be delivered all the way to Chicago within a week of arriving in Halifax.
That's a lot more attractive than finding out that your shipment is still sitting at the terminal. Managing these new shipping giants at the Port of Halifax has created an increase in port activity over the last number of years. And the Port of Halifax is seeing growth in other areas too, with the number of cruise guests increasing year after year. But all of this success also brings new challenges. Halifax is at risk of losing cargo to US big ship ports on the Atlantic coast. The shipping lines are forming strategic alliances and deploying increasingly larger vessels to those ports that can accommodate them. Experts are predicting that the ultra-class vessels will dominate the shipping industry. The challenge is that these ships need deep berths and a lot of space.
That brings us to the question, what do we need to do to keep our port competitive on a global scale?
Ultra-class cargo vessels measure over 350 meters in length overall, and sit higher in the water due to the many layers of cargo they transport. Simply put, these giant ships are too big to fit under the harbor bridges in Halifax. And that's saying something because the minimal clearance from the Quay Bridge is 50 meters. Another way of looking at it is this: at over 350 meters in length, if you stand the largest cargo vessels calling on Halifax bow to stern, it would be 3.5 times taller than the tallest building in Halifax, Fenwick Tower. Currently, the Halifax Port Authority is building an extension off the pier of the South End Container Terminal, while permanent long-term plans are finalized. The short-term extension will create the necessary pier length and berth to service two 10,000-plus TEU container ships at the same time. While this increases our berthing capacity, we also need to increase our capabilities to move cargo quickly and efficiently to those key inland markets. Maintaining our competitive edge is all about keeping that average on-dock time low.
And how we move that cargo inland is an important topic to many Nova Scotians and the Port of Halifax. With plans for expansion, considerations need to be made on ways to reduce port-related traffic on the peninsula.
Over the years, there have been several proposals and studies with suggestions on how to reduce truck traffic in downtown Halifax. The ideas range from moving South End Container Terminal facilities to Dartmouth, using barges to transport containers across the harbour, and consolidating all shipping activities to the Fairview Cove by raising the harbour bridges to allow for larger ships. I don't know about you, but I'm in no hurry for the big lift part 2. However, by better using the existing infrastructure, the Halifax Port Authority is working with partners to find a solution to reduce the number of port-related trucks in downtown Halifax. As a marquee destination, it is equally important for the Port of Halifax to consider our cruise facilities while planning for the future. It's not just the shipping industry that is seeing larger and larger ships. Many of the cruise ships calling on Halifax are getting bigger and carry more passengers. With our growing tourism sector, this is a challenge that must be addressed.
If the number of ships visiting each year continue to increase, or if the average size of those ships become bigger, we will soon reach capacity on our current cruise infrastructure.
Adding more cruise capacity will benefit not only Halifax, but the entire Atlantic cruise region. Cruise vessels that come up from major hub cities like Boston or New York don't just come up to Halifax, turn around, and go back home. The cruise lines visit a number of ports to create a full guest experience, which means the industry grows together, and so do the associated benefits. The Halifax Port Authority is now in the early stages of exploring options for a new cruise berth, with possibilities on both sides of the harbor, which would be amazing.
So why should Nova Scotians today care about the port? Because Halifax is more than just a city founded on the harbor. In many ways, the harbor is the lifeblood of our city. It's part of our history, our daily life, our economy, and our identity. The entire country of Canada has been shaped by this harbor and its activities.
It connects us to global markets, serves as a major historical military station, and is the entry point for hundreds of thousands of new Canadians looking to build a better life for themselves. Nova Scotians are all linked to the sea and to the way of life it provides.
As the port continues to grow and adapt, its influence will shape our economy and contribute to the growth of the entire municipality. By caring about what happens in our harbor and our port, we can help to define that future.
It's all part of ensuring that we continue to be more than just a city on the harbor, but Canada's Atlantic gateway to the world.